All right, welcome. Today we're jumping into something that's just absolutely essential for any developer out there, getting OAuth 2.0 security right. We're going to go way beyond the simple happy path tutorials and look at the real-world spots where things can get messy. Let's dive in.
And this quote right here really hits the nail on the head. The OAuth 2.0 framework itself, it's solid, but its greatest strength, its amazing flexibility, is also a double-edged sword. The vulnerabilities almost always sneak in through the little details, the choices that we as developers make during implementation.
So what even is OAuth 2.0 when you boil it down? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a valet key for your car. You never give the valet your master key that can open the trunk and the glove box, right? No way. You give them a special key with limited access. That is exactly what OAuth does for your digital life. It grants one app permission to access stuff in another app on your behalf, without you ever handing over your master password.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with this central challenge, what I'm calling the OAuth paradox. Then we'll walk through the 4 biggest danger zones where developers often make critical security mistakes: picking the right flow, locking down your redirects, managing tokens, and defining permissions. And that brings us right to this core idea. The paradox of OAuth is that its flexibility is incredible. It can handle a classic web app, a mobile app, a smart fridge, you name it. But because it's so flexible, there's no single one-size-fits-all way to set it up, which creates this landscape just filled with potential security holes and misconfigurations.
Okay, so our first pitfall is literally the first decision you have to make. Which authorization flow or grant type are you going to use? The answer completely depends on the kind of app you're building. And believe me, picking the wrong one is the root cause of so many security headaches down the line.
And that choice really boils down to this simple question. Is your app a public client or a confidential client? A public client is something like a JavaScript single-page app running in a browser, where anyone can just right-click and view the source code. It can't keep a secret. A confidential client, on the other hand, is like a traditional web app with a back-end server that can safely store secrets. Answering this one question is the key that unlocks which flows are actually safe for you to use.
And speaking of unsafe flows, let's just get this one out of the way right now. If you ever see something called the Resource Owner Password Credentials Grant, or ROPC, just turn and run the other way. Seriously, don't use it. It completely shatters that whole valet key idea by asking users to type their name password directly into your app. That's a massive security anti-pattern. Okay, so let's say you've picked the right flow, you've avoided the bad ones. Fantastic. Now we get to the most sensitive part of the whole dance, the redirect URI. This is the URL that the identity provider sends the user back to, and it's carrying that precious temporary authorization code. It really is like the front door to your house, and you need to make sure that door is locked up tight.
Now, here's something that's really important to understand about how the industry has moved. For any public client, we're talking your modern single-page apps, your mobile apps, using proof key for code exchange, or PKCE, isn't just a best practice anymore. It is a straight-up requirement for a secure app. It's so important that the upcoming OAuth 2.1 specification is making it mandatory.
So how does this PKCE magic work? It's actually really clever. Before the whole process even kicks off, your app creates a secret on the fly. Then it sends a hash of that secret in the very first request. Much later, when it's ready to trade the authorization code for the real access token, it sends the original secret. The server then checks, does this original secret match the hash I saw at the beginning? If it does, it proves that the app starting the flow is the exact same one finishing it. This stops an attacker from snatching that code in the middle and using it themselves. And the Slag just lays it out perfectly. Another huge mistake is being lazy with your redirect URI. It has to be an exact, complete, HTTPS-only URL. No wildcards, no plain HTTP. Using a wildcard is like leaving your front door wide open with a sign that says, "Come on in." It creates an opening for an attacker to trick the server into sending that authorization code to a malicious site they control. You have to be specific. And please don't think these are just some made-up, theoretical risks. Security researchers did a formal analysis and uncovered a real-world attack they called the IDP mix-up attack. It exploits exactly these kinds of weaknesses in redirect handling. It's a verified, practical way for a network attacker to completely impersonate a user. This is the real deal.
So, the user is back at your app. You've swapped the code for some tokens. Awesome. The flow is over, right? Well, not quite. Now, the really critical part begins: handling those tokens securely.
And that all comes down to three things: validation, storage, and lifetime. Every single time your API receives an access token, it absolutely must validate it. Think of your API as a bouncer at a club checking an ID. You have to check who issued it, who it's for, if it's expired, and most importantly, is the signature valid? That signature proves it hasn't been messed with. Skipping even one of these checks is a massive security fail. Okay, so where do you even put the tokens in a browser app? For the longest time, people just threw them into local storage or session storage. We now know this is not a good idea. Why? It all comes down to cross-site scripting, or XSS. If an attacker can inject even a tiny bit of malicious JavaScript onto your page, that script can just reach into local storage, grab those tokens, and phone home with them. Game over. Now, you might be thinking, well, session storage is better, right? And yeah, it is, slightly. It's better because it goes away when the user closes the tab, so the attack window is smaller. But the fundamental problem, its vulnerability to XSS, is exactly the same. Neither one of these is a truly safe place for your tokens. And that brings us to the modern solution, what is really considered the gold standard today, the backend for front-end pattern, or BFF. The idea is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. If tokens are insecure in the browser, then just don't put them in the browser. So here's how it works. Your JavaScript app doesn't do the OAuth flow itself. Instead, it talks to a small, dedicated backend, the BFF. That BFF is a confidential client, so it handles the entire OAuth flow and securely stores the tokens. Then it just starts a normal, old-school session with the browser using secure HTTP-only cookies. The key here is HTTP only. It makes the cookie completely invisible to any JavaScript running on the page, totally shutting down that XSS theft problem. All right, we're on to our last major pitfall, and this one is about a core security idea that goes way beyond just OAuth. It's the principle of least privilege. And all that means is you should only ever grant the absolute minimum amount of permission needed for the shortest amount of time possible. In the world of OAuth, that translates directly to scopes and token lifetimes. Scopes are what define what a token is allowed to do. A classic mistake is to create these huge, broad scopes like admin or user. That's not the way. Scopes should be small and specific to a task, like read/profile or write/posts. That way, your app only asks for the exact permission it needs for one specific action. This massively limits the blast radius, the amount of damage an attacker can do if a token ever gets stolen. And the exact same logic applies to time. A long-lived access token is just a ticking time bomb. If it's stolen, it's good to go until it expires, and there's nothing you can do about it. The secure way is to use very short-lived access tokens. Think 5 or 15 minutes, not days, and pair them with a long-lived refresh token. The refresh token can get new access tokens, but crucially, you can revoke it on the server at any time. It gives you a kill switch. So to wrap it all up, let's just run through the key defenses one more time. First, pick the right grant type for your client. For any public clients, you have to use PKCE. Lock down your redirect URIs, make them specific and HTTPS only. At your API, validate every single token that comes in. For single-page apps, use the BFF pattern to keep tokens out of the browser entirely. And finally, live by the principle of least privilege. Use minimal scopes and short-lived access tokens. And that really brings us to the final question you need to ask yourself. OAuth 2.0 gives you all the pieces you need to build a really secure system. So take a hard look at your implementation. Are you using those pieces to build a locked door, or have you accidentally left it as an open invitation for trouble? Thanks for watching.